Nice Raven. Let's just get this out of the way. Every Davion apologist and slack-jawed Torian yokel's gonna call this thing the Men Shen, but it's pronounced Men Shen, so that's how I'm gonna pronounce it for the rest of this review. And if any of you so much as consider saying the phrase linguistic drift...
This is the Mascarovka, open up.
I think it's for you. Mun is the Chinese word for door or gate, and Shun is the Chinese word for god or deity, and Mun Shen are Chinese door guardians intended to protect against evil and encourage the entrance of good. Chancellor Sun Tzu Liao named the Mun Shen after these protectors with the idea that as part of his Xin Sheng reforms, a new array of Capellan omni-mechs were going to protect the Confederation from the humiliation it suffered under his crazy-ass grandfather and crazier-ass mom, and these mechs would yield good fortune for the Capellan future. Although there's nothing they can do about his son being the wrong choice for Chancellor, but that's a story about the perils of male preference primogeniture. Now look, there's no getting around the downright goofiness of this design. Some people bag on the Raven for looking silly, but compared to the Mun Shen, the Raven looks downright stylin'. I don't know what the industrial designers at Hellespont were smoking when they settled on this what if a dustbuster walked into a Salvador Dali painting. But oh boy, I never thought another mech could make the cicada look good. It's no secret that the Mun Shen doesn't so much borrow from the Raven concept as commit a home invasion on the Raven and steal everything that wasn't nailed down. I know we're talking about the Raven a lot, but in many ways the story of the Mun Shen's success is the story of the Raven's failure. Which reminds me of a joke. Why did the Capellan buy a Raven from a Davion? Because the Capellan wanted a Raven that worked. But unlike the Raven, the Mun Shen works straight out of the box, no Davion side grades needed. And that's good, because the Celestial Wisdom was demanding a domestically produced Capellan Omni-Mech now that all the other great houses had already hopped on the Clan Tech gravy train, and you don't want the Celestial Wisdom to have to ask you for something a second time, because when they do, the messenger tends to be the Mascarovka, who want to set your kneecaps up on a date with a crowbar. Hellespont was desperate, floundering. Until late one night, Hellespont CEO Alana Morgaine woke up from a cat nap during an all-night brainstorming session with the engineering Tiger team and found that she had sleep-drooled on a brochure for the Raven, and as she picked it up and looked at it, an idea came to her. And her pitch went something like this. Guys, okay, what if we made the Raven? Okay, but we made it good. The Mun Shen, the official mech of sobering up and paying your back child support. The base model comes with 4 medium pulse lasers, an LRM-15, a Beagle active probe that works, an Artemis 4 fire control system that works, and mask. And the C model comes with ECM that works. The Mun Shen, that meets expectations of mechs. But look, that's selling the Mun Shen short. The Mun Shen isn't just a Raven that works. And if it's the ECM-equipped model, it's not just hiding the real heavy hitters under Mama Mun Shen's wings. It's also using it to get close enough to hit you with 2 large pulse lasers at
ow, my face
range. And as one would expect from a mech whose legs look like they could end up in a Fire Wings to-go box, this thing is fast. Add on the mask and this thing goes faster than any medium mech has a right to. This makes the Mun Shen uniquely frustrating to fight. Like trying to catch a greased-up Jack Russell Terrier that's on roids. Now let's be clear, the Capellans didn't do this all on their own. They needed help. And when the Capellans need help, here's what happens. A Capellan Mascarovka agent meets up with a Free Worlds League MP in the Monopole Sky Lounge at Solar City Spaceport. And over a bottle of Capellan 50 and fine Wallace cigars, the agent passes along a campaign contribution large enough to purchase all manner of illicit pleasures in a Canopian bordello, along with a holovid recording of that same MP in a Canopian bordello being spanked with a Hyali cesta by a cat girl dressed up in a period-correct Rimworld's Republic dress uniform. That MP then returns to Atreus, secures a committee chair's son a cushy job at Kawayama Industries, endorses an enemy's candidacy for her block of votes, and misses their daughter's high school graduation to wine and dine 3 holdouts, all to get an arms control exception rider inserted into a must-pass defense bill. And that, children, is how the Capellan Confederation got Omnipod technology. Of course, all of this comes at a price. The Men Shen comes in at 3 times the price of the Raven, but this isn't the kind of situation where quantity has a quality all its own. Having 3 failed mechs built on unproven technology with teething troubles up the wazoo is in no way superior to 1 Men Shen. The interior reflects this price point. Gone are the unergonomic cockpits of Capellan mechs like the Vindicator or the fault-ridden electronics of the Raven. They put a lot of thought into this mech, and I know that clanners will know true Scotsman any Omni-mech not built by their laborer caste, but I've been in a Shadowcat, and this is nicer, though you do pay a functioning military-industrial complex tax for that. In our modern age, many of us try something new, and when we're not immediately good at it, never do it again. And sure, maybe Olivia from HR was never meant to do improv, but it's so easy for us to forget that most things we're great at, we were once pretty bad at. We always look back at what could have been, but so rarely for how we've grown to become the person we are. We take our own competence and growth for granted, like we used a cheat code at character generation, instead of the truth that we grinded our way to our current level with the benefit of an occasional rare loot drop. I know I've spent half this review dunking on Hellespont, and maybe they deserve it, but credit where credit is due, they didn't abandon the Raven concept permanently. They looked at what worked, looked at what didn't, and then built something better based on the lessons of failure. Sure, they wanted to make the Raven too, and while that mech is also in a sense a resto mod, I consider the Men Shen the true inheritor of the Raven's spirit, if not its tainted legacy. Innovation not just to fix what was broken, but to improve on it and forge something new. Because when you give up on the impossible ideal, like being prom king, or a Muay Thai champion, or the first lord of the Star League, sometimes you end up with something pretty damn great. And for that, Hellespont and the Men Shen have my respect. It's also a step on the evolutionary ladder to the Vandal. Now how do I get my hands on one of those babies?